Judith, a few weeks ago, I received a letter from somebody in Nigeria I've never met before. Um, the blessed thing about Chatnet Africa is you're receiving letters from people you've never met. And this young man graduated from secondary school, and that leads me to the next question. He told me, Mr. Nchamukong, I have been running around looking for jobs. I don't have work. He is from very poor parents. Judith, lots of people are like him watching you. Speak to them this evening. That young man who has graduated from high school, that young woman who has graduated from university and cannot find work, how do they go about to make money?
Okay, that's a good thing. Well, in part, it's not their fault. I want to say it's not their fault in part. The kind of education and our background, our societal background in Africa, for the most part, teaches us to be workers. So it teaches us to go to school, come out, and go work for somebody. And it also lets us know if we're not working for somebody, we're not going to make it. The one thing that it doesn't teach us is how to have an entrepreneurial mind, create opportunities for ourselves. So what I would encourage him to do is what I would tell a child of mine, a sister of mine, or even myself if I find myself stranded. One of the things you have to look at you have to look at our community, look at our society. What are the needs? Again, we're back to what does our society need? Agriculture. Agrotechnology is one of the toughest places, the biggest areas in which we can grow in Africa and teach our young folks in which to get in. There's so much opportunity in the agrotechnology space. They may not like it, but that's what our community needs. We need people who know more about agriculture. We need people who know more about nutrition, feed the people, clothe the people, our everyday consumer goods. Those are some of the things we need to start factoring. We need to look at our health in the community. Obviously, if he's from humble backgrounds, he obviously has some challenges. He probably learned a skill or not, or one or two from his parents. What businesses did his parents or family members or people around him, what businesses did they do in order to enable him to get to school? Can he do that? Can he find a small commodity, something like water, and sell water? A lot of the times we come from societies that make us feel like we're too big for certain careers. We spend so much time wanting to work for somebody for 30, 40 years. Whereas if you started small in a small business with that small capital they're seeking from you, they'll be able to grow a business on their own, create an opportunity for yourself. He's looking for a job. Has he tried to partner with a local restaurant to see if he could go in there and clean up? What does he know how to do at this time? I know he studied at school, but sometimes you have to go with your practical skills. What skill does he have? Can he sell that skill? It doesn't have to work for someone. Can he volunteer somewhere for a short time where if he can do a couple of things and show what his skills are, he will be able to do it? Can he teach other people? Sometimes we think that business is only the tangible things that you touch, selling a good here or there, or building something. That's what we think is business. Creativity. He can decide and form a little group and say, you know what, let me teach you guys something. Tutoring. Has he thought about tutoring? We're going through a hard time in a place like Cameroon nowadays, where there's some kids back in the village or back in some communities who are not able to go to school. Has he offered to teach them maybe for a few reduced francs? If the class going to school costs like 200,000 a year, he might be teaching a student here or there for about maybe $30, 30 francs, 30,000 francs a month. Pick up about 3 or 4 or 5 students and go talk to them every hour. Teach them in that local community. Whatever their parents can gather, they'll pay you. We have to learn to create opportunities for ourselves instead of waiting. And again, it's not their fault because that's our society. We were taught to work for other people. Now is the time with the African trade, free trade zone being created in Africa that's launching on the 1st of January. This is the best time for anybody who left school, for anybody who has any kind of skill. If you know how to wash clothes, go to homes, knock on doors and see if you can actually take people's clothes and wash them. little things like that, and you build a franchise and a company out of those services. We're into the service industries. Leverage that. I'll give you an example. Many of us grew around parents, relatives who sold puff puff, beans, and pap to go to school, to send us to school. The challenge with that society being that way is the humble beginnings of that mother who was able to sponsor you with puff puff money and pap money and pepper soup money on the street. You go to school now, you study all these big things. There's no one coming back to elevate and enhance this mama's puff puff business. Who says you can't take that over? You can take that over. Mama already started the business for you. Just continue with that business and create generational wealth for you and your family. I really don't like speaking about business as a 60,000 foot level because we have so many opportunities at a very low level that we're all ignoring because we all want to work white collar jobs. We all want to go to places that we don't need to, or we all want to go sit in an office and be recognized with the windows near there. That's not what's going to help us move from one place to another. What's going to help us is us, the youth, teaching our youth, passing on the skills we have to our graduates, young graduates, so they can turn around and teach the younger ones on how to create opportunities for themselves.
Judith, you told this young man in Nigeria who is running around the streets, wondering what to do, where the next breakfast would come from, looking for jobs. And you said, you can sell water, you can get to your neighbors and wash clothes and earn some money. How can they do this in a way that grows that business? What are the skills that are required when you start at such low levels to become a big businesswoman, to become a big businessman?
Well, when you're starting out small, humility. You have to start there. Right now, they have nothing to lose, right? So if you sell the first bottle of water today, or you go and sit there wherever you buy your food, you go and ask the woman, can you help her out? If you know how to cook one or two things, you can go and say, you know what, I know how to make so and so. Can I make this and come and sell it to you and we can sell together? One of the things that we don't do very well in our community, especially African community, is we're not very good at partnering and we're not very good at fostering collaboration with each other. We are always sitting there and thinking that when you're money minded, you will not get your idea working for you. You have to make sure that money is not the primary reason you're doing whatever business you're doing. If you go in there to start doing what you say you love, or you go in there to start doing something that you are good at, you are bound to succeed. It may not work for the first 10 people, but go and do the 11th person. You can't stop at the first failure. You can't stop. Life is, I'm not saying life has to be easy, but if you don't keep trying, you will not do it. As Thomas Edison said, after the 1001 bulb try is what gave us that last bulb, that light. Why would we stop at the first challenge? It's not easy. I say humility and business go hand in hand. When you have nothing to lose. So try the first one. After the 10th one, keep going, and keep going. You've got to fail. If you don't fail, you are not doing something correctly. So I would say just keep at it. Don't get discouraged. Keep at it. But learn to partner, learn to network. While he was at school, I'm sure he knew somebody at school who had some company or where he went and ate or that needed to be something to be cleaned somewhere. Search out for those opportunities and take advantage of the one where you have the skill for it.
Judith, on the show today, we'll try to speak to as many people as possible, people going through all kinds of hardships. Here is one category. So many families go through issues like divorce or death, and so have trouble making ends meet. Judith, what practical steps can they take to starting a small or medium-sized business?
So that's a very good point you just raised. Many of us, even those who are working, are one step away or one paycheck away from being homeless, one paycheck away from not having a meal. We have to teach our families and our friends about multiple sources of income. And when I say multiple sources of income, one could be your regular day job. One of the things that we don't realize is it's often said time is money. You're giving 8 hours of your time to someone else. What would it take for you to use 2 hours during the evening or whatever you have a spare time in between your job and your bedtime or your job and your workouts or whatever else it is you're doing in life? What would it cost you just to take an hour or two for your own life to learn a skill, to go out there and learn about what some other opportunities out there for you? I'll give you an example. I believe one of the best things I have learned in recent years is how to do network marketing. Many of us come to the US, and I think there's even network marketing for many of the products that we sell in Africa as well. Many of us, the very first thing that many of us tell our friends is if we're doing something in network marketing is I don't want to do that your pyramid scheme thing. If that's a pyramid thing, I don't want to do it. What we fail to realize, everything we are doing, everything we're consuming, everything we're touching, buying, selling is a network marketing. And we're sitting there and dismissing an opportunity for ourselves because, in some ways, our mentality and our mindset thinks if they join this network marketing, you're going to be making me rich. And you don't want your dollar to make me rich. Richard Branson says one thing. He says, if someone offers you an incredible opportunity and you're not sure about you wanting to take it, learn about the opportunity, learn about it, just say yes to it, learn about it, and go and improve yourself. What that simply means is that all opportunities that you're presented on this earth have potential. If they didn't have potential, they won't be telling you about it. Somebody has succeeded on it. So if you don't have something you're working on, you're not creative about what it is you're doing, you're not even putting to practice the things that you are skilled on, why would you then deny somebody else's opportunity that they gave you? If you were prepared and the opportunity shows up, that's how you succeed. So the one thing that really stops us is the way we were raised. We were raised to work every day, go and put in time for somebody. And then we don't want to do anything outside of that time that we're putting in for that person. Right? And so when you don't give yourself, your own self, the 1 hour or 2 hours time, how do you hope to succeed? You're putting in time to grow somebody else's business, and you're not putting in time to develop yourself, nor grow your own business. There's no recipe for success that does not allow you to work, be consistent on what you're doing, and keep trying until you succeed. If you don't succeed, you've not tried hard enough. We are all in the business of trying. So we cannot sit here and say, what do you mean we are all struggling? No one should struggle. If you can read, you can study something that you know. If you have hands, feet, and your brain, you can sell your expertise to somebody. I like to use my example of Cameroonians can cook, right? We're some of the best cooks in the world. And across Africa, there's other countries that are really, really great cooks. My problem with all of us being such great cooks is we're all cooking in our homes and we're not eating out as much, right? And we're not sharing the skills with people out there as much. Small things. If you're good at making, the person who's good at making Kwakoko Bible, for example, that person, if there's an occasion, outsource your Kwakoko Bible making. Give it to the caterer. Go partner with some caterer who's doing it. Let's say the White House in Douala. Go to the White House in Douala. Instead of having them cook the whole thing, you partner with them. You guys come up with a contracted rate and you say, you know what, I'm going to make you Kwakoko, blah, blah, blah. You guys come up with the contract or whatever it is, and you provide them Kwakoko for whatever their events are. Our problem is we're not networking enough. We're not collaborating enough. So first of all, we don't understand how to fulfill the needs and the problems that are out there. So we have to make sure that, for number one, get out of our comfort zones. As Colette, I think, pointed out earlier, understand what your passion is. Number two, if you don't know what you're passionate about, find out what you've been doing for years that you're good at. And again, many of us work for companies that have taught us some skills. I go work Monday 9 to 5. When you come back from school, when you come back from work 9 to 5, is there a kid around you could tutor? Are there some other Cameroonians you could teach a thing or two to? Do you have some people who need some jobs? Can you do some housekeeping and cleaning during the weekend? Do you know that all you have to do is clean one house on Saturday, and then if you start getting a lot of customers, you clean another house on Sunday, and before you know it, you have 2 houses every weekend that you clean. That's your one extra source of income. Okay, then my mom taught us how to make chin chin, plantain chips, cakes. We used to cater for parties when we were in Cameroon. So she'll just bring a whole bundle of things. We learned, after we know how to cook those things, go and partner with the boulangerie. Can we provide you the plantain chips? You have to go through their criteria of how they want the packaging, how they want all this stuff, and then you provide it. You make a cent here or there. I'm at this point in my life, I'm learning from a friend of mine, a classmate of mine. I'm also learning how to do fulfilling by Amazon here, because I'm here. I'll tell them another thing they can do for those who are in Africa. Ovamba, I keep mentioning Ovamba. The reason I mentioned Ovamba is because I do take into consideration the fact that we may not have enough infrastructure that's set up, enough, again, corrupt nature in the country may not allow some people to really go out of their comfort zone. But there are small business firms, microfinance firms, fintech firms that are doing some big things for people out there. Depending on what kind of business and the consumer product you want to put out there, some of these companies will work with you. Agriculture. Many of us don't know that if you have a garden behind your house, you can do lots of gardening and then go partner with a warehouse, a common warehouse, and provide these goods over there, or you find out somebody who can do the freezing for you. Health wise, if you are there are many of us who are teachers as well as nurses. You go, when you work during the daytime, you partner, you do some things. You can maybe do a small clinic in a license, go work like in an urgent care somewhere around your neighborhood. Guess what? You cannot relax if you don't have enough income coming in. Teach your kids. Many of us have businesses that our kids have not taken over. I mentioned the part about the puff puff. Let me mention another thing. We all know some of our most entrepreneurial communities are Bamileke people. Again, this is not a tribal issue, but these are the people who are like amongst the most entrepreneurial in the country. These people for years have owned kinkoleries, right, which is hardware stores and things like that. For years, these are the only people doing it. But there's construction happening all over the country. Learn from one of them. We don't trust each other. There's not enough competition in the country. And then when these businessmen die, they don't teach these businesses to their children. And guess what? When they pass away, businesses fall. If there's no one to buy the business falls. So we need to be learning these skills from our parents, doing business with these skills, taking over businesses so we can build multi-generational wealth for our communities. Then we have families doing what families have been doing for years in other countries. You have family, let's say the Kraft family. They've had the businesses for years, for almost a century now. We need to be building such brands in Africa.
Night Africa, just 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 night Africa.